So I am founder and director of Qurated Network. We are 18 people at the moment. We'll be 21 hopefully by the time this airs. And we focus on technology transformation and innovation. So placing the leadership level and then helping them to build out their teams.
Brilliant. So I'm Simon Berry, MD and founder of a company called Appoint Healthcare, which is, funnily enough, a healthcare specialist recruitment company. We've been going for 14 years now, close to 15 actually. And we have 22 people in the business at the moment. We are very much a perm orientated business. We don't get involved in the temp or contract side. I think our marketing vibe is that we want to be the solution to a more expensive overusage in our sector, perhaps of the temp side. So we'd rather be specialists in one rather than the other. We cover the private sector for the most part, tiny bit of NHS, but most of it is private companies within mental health, nursing homes, private hospitals and clinics and things like that.
What's made you focus on the private rather than public side of things?
The honest answer is a lack of understanding or manpower, I suppose, to do the framework exercises in the early days. And the traction was there in that sort of private direction, and you kind of just keep getting down the path of least resistance, I guess. We are on the frameworks now for the permanent side, but it's something we're just starting to kind of pay more attention to at the moment, really.
Okay, cool.
Path of least resistance, I would say.
yeah. I think as well, I can imagine it's quite a different pace. If you're doing the public sector and the private sector, it probably have to be quite separate.
Yeah, we're just starting to learn that now. I'll get back to you with an answer.
Cool. So should we talk about the last 18 months then? Obviously been a bit of a roller coaster. Definitely in our world anyway. It's been, there's a lot gone on.
Hopefully some good things as well as maybe more challenging things.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant for us. So we initially had funding for our business. So we had investors who owned 50%, and then myself and my husband the other 50%, which we'd have never got started without them. So regret nothing. But I think from the day we signed the papers, that was the last time we agreed on anything really.
Right.
So use the COVID period as an opportunity to buy them out of the business. Cost us a lot, but was just the best move we could have ever made. So the management buyout went out through in 2021, and since then we've built a completely different business. So it's been an absolute roller coaster for us the last 2 years, and obviously the market has helped support that really. So yeah, it's been an exciting time. How about you guys? How have you found it?
Yeah, I think so. What I hear, I'm no market expert. All I really know is our own business and our own experiences. But what I hear is obviously there was a boom period which everyone loved, and made lots of investments and company-wide decisions, and maybe gave some things away. And then more recently, it's been much tougher. And those things or some of those decisions have maybe made things a bit more challenging and harder to keep doing. For us, our sector is less affected by the booms and busts, I guess. It's a little bit more consistent. So we weren't experiencing the massive highs that a lot of people were talking about, and our sector actually took a little bit longer to recover, but nor did we, or have we, seen that big drop off in fortunes either. So I guess I'm grateful for that. It was a little bit quieter at the beginning of this year, and it is starting to pick up quite nicely now. But not night and day differences, I guess.
No.
And I think, again, speaking about us specifically, I felt quite a lot of pressure or FOMO, I guess, of all these initiatives, ideas, and whether that is technology or 4-day weeks, or the ongoing argument about working from home or office, etc. We never really got that far with a lot of them because I guess the priority at the time was to just concentrate on doing what we were doing. We didn't have a huge windfall of success to then go, right, what do we do with it, if you know what I mean? So that's, I guess, I see that as a fortunate thing. And I think what I would like to now do for the next, I think what I would like, I don't have a crystal ball, but for the next year or more, I don't see any massive drop-offs like we've seen, nor do I see any huge boom periods coming, which for me is great, because we can then just concentrate on being a business, doing what we do best, try and get some consistencies and continuous incremental improvements rather than massive redevelopments, and also just make sure that we're picking the appropriate ones for us and our means as a business as well. Because I think things like hearing lots of people talk about AI, for example, and thinking, oh, are we gonna suffer if we don't get on board with this? And I think for me, the realization is absolutely not. We'll do what we can and what's appropriate to us as a business, and we'll learn where we can. But none of us are tech heads. None of us are massively passionate about that side of things. And if we were to push that as a business, I think we would probably end up pissing a load of money up the wall and not getting it right, and it just distracting us from doing what we do well.
100%. And also, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I think we're in quite a fortunate position that we're speaking to technology and transformation leaders like all day, every day. Yeah. So it's really interesting. And whether you're speaking to CTO of a law firm or a bank or wherever it might be, a lot of the time it's okay, we're doing experiments. These are big companies, obviously. They've got an innovation team in house, looking at the art of the possible. But a lot of it's about, well, we know that our vendors are all looking at this, and actually they're going to be rolling out the tools. Microsoft have already got Copilot. These things will just be embedded in the tools that we're already using. You look at I know the newer generation don't really remember it, but I remember life before LinkedIn. I think the recruitment industry has already been disrupted to an extent. It's already so automated. So much of what we do is tech enabled that actually it will just be building upon that. We don't need to revolutionize it. I think it's a bit of a red herring from my perspective, the AI thing at the moment.
I think that's it, isn't it? And it's, I don't want to detract at all from. I think it could work brilliantly for a lot of businesses if they are that way inclined and they're passionate about it, and they've maybe got some in-house, at least brewing talent in that area to manage it. But I think at one stage, and I just use that as one example, but there were lots of those sorts of things coming up which we could have jumped on, because the voice out in the market is don't get left behind. You've got to change with the times, and actually I think there's a lot of businesses that I've heard from recently that have maybe reflected on that and gone, actually maybe it would have been better to just focus on the basics.
Doing that well. I think that makes sense. I think we're in a fortunate position, like yourselves, that a lot of the businesses we work with are more established businesses trying to go through periods of transformation or technology improvement rather than the VC backed. So we didn't have that exposure, that kind of boom and bust, which at the time, again, we had the temptation, should we be trying to go after those cool tech brands, especially as we do technology recruitment. But I'm very glad now that we didn't. We thought, well, we'll stick to what we stick to the bit we're good at, and it's been quite fortuitous, really.
What about you guys for the next foreseeable then? What do you see happening, and what are your focuses on?
Well, I'm really just hoping for boring. I think there's been enough ups and downs over the last few years, and actually I felt really uncomfortable for the majority of last year because it felt like a bubble and it felt too easy, and it made me uncomfortable. Are things going well because you're doing things well, or are things going well because it's easy to make money when the market's like that, and no one wants to be left without the clothes on when the sea goes out. So I prefer the market a bit more sensible personally. Yeah, so I'm just hoping for boring. There's obviously a lot of potential threats looming on a kind of macroeconomic level. Hoping none of that happens, and we just plod along steadily so we can work on making our business as good as it can possibly be in a market where we can see cause and effect quite easily. It's quite exciting, I think.
Hoping for boring. I like that. It's a great motto. I might borrow that.
I think everyone's got like PTSD though after the whole COVID period and everything else, and then everything just went so into this boom times. No one's had time to just kind of go, okay, normal life, what's that look like?
Yeah, okay, well, let's hope for that. So on to the sort of the second half of the agenda then. We've got a list of things that talk about. I can resonate with some of them. I think there's other subjects which are maybe crossover into them slightly, which we're more passionate about or more actively involved in or have a genuine opinion on. What are sort of the key things going on in your business that you guys are focusing on at the moment?
I think one of the key challenges, we always find as a business is attracting the right caliber of people, especially on the experience hire side, and then trying to make sure that the quality and culture are maintained as we're growing. We've moved quite quickly from being, us two as founders with a small team of people we directly manage to having, managers, directors within the business that then, we're managing one step removed. And obviously nobody ever does it as well as you do it. So it's about really making sure that we're creating processes that can be replicated, but without it becoming then just people cranking the handle, people still being their authentic selves and really dealing with clients in their way as well as in the way that is a curated way of being. So I think that's probably one of our key challenges at the moment. There's no easy answer, and I think because the mania of the last couple of years, we have gone down the grad route quite heavily. So it's a long learning curve to get people to the point where they can stand alone without support. Definitely within our business, given we do a lot of the senior end. So yeah, that's the key challenge for us.
Yeah, and this is a conversation that's happened so many times within TRN, and I always like to listen to those conversations because everyone's got a different take on it. We're all struggling with it, aren't we? I don't think I've not heard anyone just say, oh yeah, we're smashing that, we've got it down. And we've, obviously in those 14 years, we've had a mixture of fortunes with our internal recruitment. What I have personally found is that every time we've tried to hire at a senior level, it hasn't worked. And that's not necessarily because they weren't any good. They might, some of those people have got huge experience, very credible, good success in the past, liked them as individuals, but it just didn't quite work. And the success we have had is by growing our own talent, which takes time, and it's frustrating, isn't it, when you want to march forward as a business. And so I would love to be able to change that, but it seems to be working far better for us as a business. I think, like you were saying, it's very difficult to find someone that will do things as well as you. I think now we've had enough time to get to the point where some of our team are actually doing things far better than I can, and we've got our.
That's good.
Yeah, it's great. We've got different skill sets, and I think I think back to when we hired a previous director. One of the team came and said, it's really exciting and blah blah blah. And they were trying to be diplomatic, and they were saying, we like this person, but the real reason that a lot of the team are here is because we want to work for you. And that was a very flattering thing for that person to say. It didn't help me build a business. So it's then, okay, well, how can you how can you build people up and help them take their own careers forward so that people are here for them rather than for me?
No, definitely. And I think the thing then of getting the line between giving them the freedom to manage people in their own way and lead in the way they want and have their style, but then also make it feel cohesive with the rest of the business. I think that's the key thing, especially when you've got we have search side of the business. So we have 3 areas: search, interim projects, and then our kind of teams and capability, which is where we work with companies to put in the kind of rank and file, if that's the right word. So it's quite easy for a team to become its own island, and it's really about bringing it together as well, making sure we've got a curated way of doing things, overarching the individual people underneath. I think that's the real challenge that you don't want to be dictating to people, do you?
No, it is a real challenge. Our challenge is on that front is partly physical, in the sense that we have our offices are on 3 floors, and we can get truth be told, the top floor is only for meetings and so on, so it's across 2 floors, our sales team, and we wish we could get everyone together, because I think that would really help more often, and we try and move people up and down as much as we can to try and alleviate exactly that problem. But even without that, absolutely, I guess for some, in certain circumstances, there's good reason for people to do things slightly differently for different niches, but only to so much degree. How people control that from a full-blown homework environment, I have no idea. No experience of it particularly, but I imagine that's a challenge.
Yeah, no, definitely. Are you in the office? What's your work home?
Yeah, so we are very much an office-based company. We make no secrets about that. I think, stemming from the recruitment process, we are looking for people who enjoy each other's company, want to support each other, want to celebrate each other's wins, pick each other up when they're down, learn from each other, shadow each other, and not to the degree that it's like you can never work from home. There's flexibility to a degree. I think it's a very rough rule of work from home 1 day a week if you want to. Some use it every week, some use it virtually never. I'm one of them. I like being in the office with the team.
No, definitely. I just think as well, a bit of a controversial thought this, but what people want and what they need can often be different things. I think there's so many studies around mental health and even the burnout. Actually sitting in your spare room for 10 hours a day 5 days a week isn't very good for you. It's like you might want to eat a whole cake, but you stop at a slice. So I'm very much against the kind of fully remote side of things. I think it only works for people that have got lovely living environments and great tech and fast internet and everything else. But
and I suppose if that is your overriding setup and culture, then you recruit on that basis.
Yeah.
And I've had conversations with people where they'll say things like, "Oh, office environments are dead. We only ever get applications for people that want to work from home." And I could say the same, but that's probably because we're putting that all over our adverts, that's what we want and we need, and that attracts people that want to work in. And there must be, a balance of both types of people that would, thrive in working from home. But that's not us, for sure.
Yeah, I can't see how it would be a recruiter, though. Our job is to connect with people.
True,
so
yeah.
Somebody that's not energized by connecting with people, I don't. Obviously, once you have kids, I've got 2 kids, so I do work at home on a Friday and a Tuesday at the moment. Although my little girl starts school in September, so I'm going up to 4 days. I can't wait. But the Friday, it does make life a lot easier. So having a bit of that, I think, is great for people for managing work-life balance. But I think any more than a day or 2, I can't quite get my head around it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Yeah. I think the big focus for us, and I was talking about, for us, it's about going back to the basics. the big drive for us, the big thing that we're really trying to hone in on and make traction on is an educational piece really for our clients to try and demonstrate why some form of partnership or enhanced service type is beneficial to them. And
You've got your book out, haven't you?
I have. I've even got a copy here, of course.
Oh, let's have a look. Oh, brilliant. So what's the premise of that?
So it's written for clients, and the idea is to give them a window of clarity into how recruiters really work, and then when they begin to understand that, what motivates them, what their costs are, hopefully that mindset will change, and they can, our job is to kind of empathize with what they need, and that, they're the client, so to some degree that makes sense. But if we're going to work in partnership, then hopefully there should be that mutual understanding of what works for both businesses. So yeah, the idea is if I can get our clients or anyone else's clients to understand how recruiters really work, what motivates them, what they need to do, just how complex some of the parts of their role actually is, hopefully we'll get an enhanced level of respect and appreciation for the work we do, but also it will highlight why they're likely to get far better results, even for just something as simple as an exclusive role versus a PSL. And I think that that understanding still isn't there, and I think the recruitment industry could do with getting a bit better about showing recruiting organisations some of these things. So I thought, put it in a book. It stemmed from a conversation I had with a family friend years ago, where he was recruiting for his business, and he was frustrated with the results he was getting. But when I sort of reflected back some of the things that he was saying, pointed out that they just weren't true, explained how some of these things worked, the penny dropped, and he went from saying, oh, I've negotiated them down, and they keep wanting to ask me questions, and that's their job, and so on and so forth. And then kind of explain, well, there's only 4 companies in the UK that do what you do. It's quite a challenge to go and find that experience. Maybe you need to help them a little bit. And it's that kind of Jerry Maguire, help me help you kind of scenario, isn't it?
100%. I think with suppliers actually generally, and what I've learned since owning a business and having to deal with suppliers is that actually it's the moment that you partner with someone that you have to put in more work really to make sure it's a success. And I think what happens a lot of the time is they go, right, okay, I'll give that to somebody else, and then it's not my responsibility anymore, and they just expect a result down the line. But actually it's developing that relationship to work together to meet a joint objective, I think is really crucial, isn't it? I think we've been helped out there a little bit though. I think the emphasis on talent post-COVID has meant that people are actually really know that hiring good people is really important for the business. So I think it's well timed, your book, definitely.
Hopefully so. Yeah, we're getting some good feedback. We've had some nice comments and aha moments from some of our clients or prospective clients, and yeah, early days, but I'm hopeful it'll add some value to the sector in general.
Definitely. I think the good thing as well, I think people are more open, aren't they, to going out of their way to actually learn, to read the books and to listen to the podcasts and do that kind of own learning about how do I improve this element of what I'm doing. So I'm reading loads of books at the moment on business, and all at the same time like want to go. It's just so helpful. I think if you take a few things from each book, it's a really good use of time.
Absolutely, yeah. I need to get back into that. It's as much as anything, it's motivational as well, isn't it? Education is part of it, but just having time to read those books just gives you a bit of a spring in your step sometimes.
Oh, 100%. And a bit of context sometimes. Like there's things that you do in what's the unconsciously competent, and then you read about it, oh, okay, that's why that works so well, and then it's a bit easier to kind of then explain to the team or whoever else. Yeah. I'm reading Never Split the Difference.
I have heard of it. I've not read it. Is it good?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And actually I realise now, there's been this whole massive change in kind of BD approach. You know, it used to be the yes ladder. Now it's about you need to ask a no question. There's a load of different things that I keep seeing on the emails I get, and then I'm reading this book, and then I'm like, oh, I understand why everyone's doing it like that now. It makes sense. They've all read the book, or that psychology anyway. So yeah, it's really good.
Well, you've got 2 kids and you still manage to find time for reading, so there's no excuse for me. I've only got 1. I'm going to get on it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I have got that's the other thing I love about being in the office. The 2 kids at home, it's nothing better than having, you know, half an hour on the train each way where I just can't do anything other than read a book or listen to podcasts.
That's handy. Yeah. No, I've got an 8-minute drive. It's not quite the same.
That is handy though. Whereabouts are you guys based?
We are just north outside of Southampton, on the Costa del Solent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's not right part of the way. You're London based, are you?
Yeah, central London.
Yeah, exciting. I imagine. Yeah, especially when people are all back in the office, it's quite a good environment.
Yeah, good fun. I think we've got quite a young team as well, so it's nice, high energy.
That's what you need. Yeah, I know you had some thoughts on the word recruitment as well from the marketing perspective.
Yes.
A bit more about that.
Yes, I do. I think we need to reclaim recruitment is my big thing. So a trainer that we worked with and a manager internally told one of the team not to use the word recruitment in an email because of the negative connotations. And I thought that was really, really, really depressing. You know, there's a whole load of businesses out there that are, you know, now talent agencies, talent consultancies, embedded talent, it's all, you know, talent, or, you know, other related words around people or whatever else it might be. And I just think we're not HR consultancies. We are very much responsible for recruiting people to organizations. They, you know, even if you're doing an embedded piece, they still do the management of the talent and the training and the development side of things in most cases. So I don't think we should be ashamed of it. I think we should be saying, you know, we're proud to be recruiters. Okay, you can be a search person, or you can be an interim person, or you can be an embedded person, but you know, I'm definitely still very proud to be a recruiter. I don't want to pretend I'm a talent acquisition anything or anything else. I want to be what I am. And I think more people should be too.
I really agree with that. A friend of mine a little while ago, he was asking me to proofread some things on the website, and he's in recruitment, and it didn't mention recruitment. I said, are you sure that people are clear on what you actually do? And then he said, oh yeah, but if I use the word recruitment, then there's negative connotation. That's the first I'd heard of it. And sometimes I'm too easily led, and it got me thinking, maybe there's some truth to that, and should I re-look at ours? Thankfully, I never had time or got myself organised to do it. I'm glad we had this conversation, because if I think about what I really believe or what I would want to do about that, I'm absolutely in your corner. And I think the other part of that sentence is consultant as well, to remind my team that that's quite a big word, and you know, it's quite a grown-up job title, and we need to honour that. We need to be that, make sure that we're adding that value. But no, I'm proud to be a recruiter for sure. I will change that.
100%. And I think the industry's changed so much. I mean, you know, 15 years ago, or you know, whatever, it was a very different place. But nowadays, you know, it's full of really good, credible people. You know, most of our competitors are, you know, remember back in the day, it was a USP that we took the time to thoroughly interview our candidates. Whereas now that's a given for, you know, 90% of recruitment businesses out there. And I think, you know, we earn more money than a lot of other professions. You know, even the really well-respected ones, you know, we're actually outperforming from or the good people are. Not the good people, that's the wrong word, the successful people. It's probably still the wrong word. The top 50% are anyway. and actually nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Definitely
In
not.
fact, one of our managers as well, so he was dating a couple of years ago, he's now married her, but he put on his Tinder profile he was a consultant, but omitted the recruiter until they met, because he was worried that she'd think differently of him.
Oh dear. Well, I think it sort of links into the reason behind the book as well. Like, why is that? Why is all of the different industries, why do they look at recruitment differently to marketing or finance or legal? The phrase I hate in recruitment is recruitment's not rocket science. It boils my blood every time I hear it. Of course, it's bloody rocket science, but it's an incredibly complicated and diverse role. You need so many different skill sets these days to do it well. And I think that's where the 120 models and all these other chopped up processes come from, because it's so difficult to find people, virtually impossible to find people that are good at all those different things. It's not an easy job. It's technically challenging. It's hard work. It's stressful. And I think the only reason that recruitment might by some be considered a dirty word is because of a lack of understanding. That's our mission this year, I guess, to try and help our clients understand some of that, have those honest conversations with them, build those partnerships, and just move ourselves further away. We made some good traction with moving away from contingent recruitment. More than half of what we do is at least on an exclusive basis now. But we want to get that to 100% over the course of maybe the next 18 months, realistically, something like that. So that's our main focus going forwards. But I think the way we'll do it is to help our clients understand why that benefits them.
100%. I think that's a good aim to have. It's a funny one, isn't it? I think there's a real emphasis on moving from being a recruitment agency to a recruitment consultancy. As you said, I say to the team, we're going to put the consult into recruitment consultancy for us. And it's about just doing what we do really, really well. I think there's often a mistake people can make is almost viewing it that we're selling, a product which is a candidate, but we're not. We're not a knowledge business. We're a service business. And we're selling a service, and we're selling confidence, really. The main thing you want when you're recruiting and you work with an agency or a consultancy, as you should be, is confidence. And actually, since I've been recruiting a lot over the last couple of years and working with Rectorex and not having very good experiences, it's a real thing for me. Let's be a consultancy, make sure we're at every step of the journey, giving the client transparent and just information, really, just giving them the information, making sure that they know what's going on, where you're at with the search, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, so that they know that can just be left and don't have to think about it. They can get on with their day job because it's all handled, and all they need to do is spend half an hour every other week on a phone call with you, and they know that it's all happening. So we've done a lot of work around our delivery processes, and by delivery I don't just mean from when we take a brief through to somebody starting and actually beyond as well. So we've done a full process map, as is to be, gap analysis, and then looked at how to improve it. And I think it's really, a lot of it we're kind of doing, but we hadn't kind of formalized it as a methodology as such, definitely on the search side. So putting a bit of rigor around each step it's been really, really beneficial for us, to instill that in the guys as well, that we're doing a lot of work. Once it's all written down, I think it's about a 20-page doc of every step that we do, client focused and internal focused. And it makes you realise, actually, well, I'm not going to do this on a contingent basis because it's just too much effort. So for us, it's been really useful to give people the confidence to effectively sell solutions rather than, you know, try and get a job on.
Have you used, so the content you built there, has that influenced or flown into the content that you put in front of the clients in terms of justifying that as a solution or the solution for them?
Yes and no. So kind of not directly, but so we've, as part of that, we've looked at all of our different materials. So what we present a pitch, so we do, when we kind of do the actual meeting, as it were, where we're doing the face-to-face, what we present them, we've upgraded that, but that's kind of stayed the same. But then we've changed our long list, short list kind of flow, basically, as it were. And then the data that we present throughout the assignment has changed as well. And we've added in a bit of rigor as well. So some things that before were phone calls, we'll now send you know, send a 1-pager or 2-pager just to kind of back up the, you know, this is the work that's being done and how it's being done, and where we're at. Again, going down that kind of the confidence piece, you know, you want to be able to think, right, I know that this is all in hand, you know, there might be challenges to find the right person, you know, sometimes it's the salaries are a bit under what their budget is, or you know, you're looking at moving somebody from a cool tech business into a more traditional business, and it's going to be about really selling to them during the process, etc. But if the client feels confident that you've got it all covered, you're thinking of everything, you like no stones being unturned, this is who you're approaching, this is how you're approaching them, this is what you're doing, you know, I think it makes all the difference. So it has, yeah, it's been really good. And as I say, a lot of it we were doing anyway, but just not doing that final 5% of them presenting the data in a way that you know, that they can understand, because I think, you know, that your search is going well and everything's on track, but that doesn't mean that they do, because they're not recruiters.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I'm sure go a fair way to helping your challenge that you were talking about earlier with just getting that consistency across the business of doing it in a curated way. Yeah,
definitely. I think so we've done, obviously we've got a few different ways that, you know, different solutions that we sell. So it's ongoing for 2 of them, and then 2 of them we've done, and it's been brilliant. But it also very time consuming. Hence why it's taken so long. And then next we've got to do like the sales playbook side of things to make sure that bit's working as well as the actual delivery. I think we're in the bit of a stupid position really, in that we undersell and then over deliver, which is just silly. We need to be going out there and doing a bit more on the getting the word out there front.
Neat. Just while I've got the opportunity as well, one last thing I would like to understand from different businesses is what's working for you on the BD side at the moment.
Oh, well, that's so, you know, going back to the shiny things conversation from earlier, we have spent a lot of time, effort, money on trying to use outbound email cadence to generate leads for our business, basically. And I don't know, you know, maybe it's just that we're not very good at it, and we need to try harder. We are looking for a marketing person, so that might, you know, change everything. But I think it might be a bit like the AI thing for us, a bit of a red herring. I think because we're operating at you know, towards the senior end of the market, I don't know. I feel like I wish we'd have spent the time that we spent on that focusing on our relationships and our candidate relationships and taking them forward rather than on outbound emailing. And I don't know about you. I don't know whether, you know, the success that you get, is it worthwhile getting that success for the amount of people that would see it and not like it, and, you know, end up marking you as spam if they're getting, you know, 4 or 5 emails. You know, I know now, because we're getting so many of them, I quite often just mark people as spam. If I get a bumping up, if that isn't mentioned in an email, it just goes spam, you know. So I don't know whether it's a bit of a false false dawn, really. I don't know. What have you tried? Have you tried any of that side of things? Any success?
No, we basic email sequencing we are doing. I think, you know, we're drumming into the team and they're seeing results from continued efforts, but more personalized rather than automated emails. And we're getting some successes from that. You know, it's normally the fifth or sixth email perhaps that we start to get. And I think it's, you know, pot luck on timing as well, isn't it? You know, I think about my own inbox and, like you say, just hundreds of things a day coming in, and every now and again you're in a particular mood or thinking about a particular thing and it pops up just at the right time, but it's fairly few and far between, unless they're watching me with a secret camera somewhere. But but I think what's working for us is still the dominant factor more often than not is leveraging old relationships, trying to get referrals, or, you know, when people move from company to company, to try and stay in touch with them and try and move with them. Seems to be working.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think when it's used for making sure you do your follow-up touch points, that's brilliant. I wish I'd have had that when I was a consultant, because the amount of, you know, rightly, I know it's not, you shouldn't do it, but the amount of times I'd send one email and then probably never send anything ever again. So really nice to be able to go, right, okay, let's put in the next, you know, few steps that I need in terms of cadence. But I think from a kind of mass email perspective, I'm just not sure it works for us. I think as a recruitment business as well, you know, effectively our candidates are our leads. You know, so do we really need to be doing leads gen of random people, or do we need to be nurturing those relationships so that, as you say, they go into a business and, you know, they're our in effectively.
Yeah, your level with those roles for sure.
Yeah, and especially at the senior level, and then also on the interim side, you know, I think that's, it's, again, it sounds very, the thing is, I had these thoughts when I was younger, and it just was that I thought a bit differently. Now I just sound old, but I'm kind of a big believer in there's no shortcuts to success, and whenever you try and make things happen quicker, taking a shortcut, it just tends to not really work for me anyway. Maybe my real life has been a bit hard, but
and by shortcuts, do you mean things like automated email outreach or time saving?
Yeah, you know, there's businesses, aren't there, that I know that, you know, will send 1,000 emails, and that's how they generate their clients. And quite often I think, oh, maybe we should be doing that. And then I think, yeah, but I don't want to. It just doesn't really sit right.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to compete with the Shreks and the consultancies. And actually, we managed to win an assignment from one of the Shreks in July, and from a consultancy on the interim side. And that feels really good. But in my head, I kind of think, you know, would they do that? And it's kind of like what goes through my head. And I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I suppose it's one of my key things. Actually, I'm going to be starting an MBA in September to get a bit more outside of recruitment perspective. I think would be really useful, because I've been in recruitment all my life. My husband's obviously a recruiter. Back when I had flatmates, they were recruiters. Going on holiday at Christmas with a recruiter. You know, just surrounded by recruitment people. So I think more maybe we can look to those other industries as well. Might be quite useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of done it the other way around. So I spent a lot of time and money with external coaching that was industry agnostic. Learned loads, but got to a point where I really needed the voice of the industry, which is hence the tier membership, which is exactly what I'm getting. And so thanks, Tieran.
Yes, thank you. No, it is useful. I think the suppliers thing is the key thing. It's such a minefield, isn't it, with SME suppliers, of the good, the bad, and the ugly. we had we were one of the ones that got scammed by, oh, I can't remember his name, the Rectorec that disappeared with everyone's money. Dan
Oh,
Collier. Well, I probably
well,
shouldn't say
no.
that, should I? Can we bleep that out? Get done for, mind you, it's true. So anyway, luckily only £3,500. So it, you know, it's still enough, but it wasn't too much. And it taught us a lesson. I think, what is it, when when money meets experience, experience gets money, and money gets experience, or something. But I think it's really useful. I wish we'd have been on TRN before that, so we could have said, "Oh, has anyone worked with?"
Yeah, that's a very useful feature.
Cool.
Okay, well, anything else specifically you want to talk about?
No, I think that's been really interesting. Yeah. What are your ambitions?
Ambitions. Oh, that's a big question. I think the next vision is around sort of the 45, 50 heads, breaking into a few different niches, like you were talking about, maintaining the us element across all of that. And I think the purpose, really, the reason behind that is to make sure that we're creating opportunities and career paths for the team that have shown us that loyalty, and wanting to do it to make things exciting and interesting for them. So, you know, if you're not growing, you're dying, really, aren't you? So yeah, let's go that way.
Definitely. And how do you find it with it being just you? Is that tough?
It's good and bad. I think, you know, you were talking about your investors and struggling to get to places of agreement. I don't necessarily have that problem. I do have that problem, but in a good sense, because now that we've got that established leadership team, we have different voices and different outlooks, and I like that setup now because I've got that team to confide in and discuss things with, get their opinions. I don't feel it's all on me, but ultimately the responsibility is on me to make the final decision, which I'm used to now after 14 years. So that's okay, but it doesn't normally get used that often, because normally, you know, they do influence me. We agree, or they have good points that might change my way of thinking and so on. So I'm grateful I've got that now, for sure. Yeah. And when I didn't, life was simpler anyway. It was a smaller business, and it wasn't as arduous, and life and recruitment as a world just seemed a bit more simple back then.
Yeah, definitely. Would you look to get investment or anything like that in the future, or are you wanting to go organic growth?
Do you know what? I might actually at some point pick your brains on that, because it's not something I really understand. Our business started from humble beginnings. I sold my motorbike to get the money that I needed to start the business in the first place. So, and we've been organic in that sense throughout. But I absolutely would consider it if there was an opportunity, a specific plan that we felt confident about and needed the money for, then for sure it would make sense. But I probably should upskill myself, or, you know, gain some form of understanding of what that actually looks like ahead of that, really. Yeah,
definitely. That was my wish now. That, well, we were quite naive going in and kind of just went, yeah, this sounds great, like, you know, open arms, like, you know, phenomenal. I think it really taught us the lesson of you know, trying to know as much as possible before entering into any agreement, where it's then difficult to get out of it. Yeah, challenging. I find it weird, actually. There's obviously a lot of recruitment business investors at the moment, isn't there? And I kind of want to post all over LinkedIn going, no, don't do it, you don't need to, just sit on the bedroom and then go that way, have, you know, own 100%, there's no rush.
Yeah, no, there's lots to be said for that. Cool. Okay, and yeah, any reverse question to you, ambitions wise for the future? Have you any specific plans?
I mean, on that side of things, I think down the line, we'll probably look to get investment again, but minority, not 50-50. But I think at least kind of 2 years for me before we start thinking about that. And then right now we're moving over to the US, which is the kind of, well, it's very exciting for me. So I'm taking on the kind of US MD role. From the UK, we're trying to find somebody to run the office at the moment. But so that's pretty exciting. It's just quite overwhelming. It's obviously such a big market. Making sure we're starting things as we mean to go on, and purposeful with the approach rather than letting ourselves get swayed by, oh, maybe we should chase this, oh, maybe we should chase that. I think is
yeah.
really
And with that decision, is it along the lines of, you know, following that path of least resistance or opportunity out in that direction? And is the clientele starting to build out there, which is sort of pulling you out there even more, or is it a case of, right, we've got nothing out there, but we really want to do this, and it's a big project from scratch and investment?
A bit of both. So we've got quite a large exposure to financial services and also to legal, and both of those obviously huge in the US. Firstly, secondly, in they've just something called FedNow, which is a bit like faster payments in the UK that happened a few years ago, and it's had a massive impact on the banking system. So in the UK, like, we're members of the Payments Association, and we do a lot on that front. So there's a real opportunity there, I think, that they're going through, and that, you know, it's quite, you know, you go over to the US, they're still writing their names on payment slips and all the rest of it. So there's a huge amount that could be done to modernize things out there, which is what we're good at, is working with, you know, traditional businesses that are trying to transform and compete with more technology businesses, and, you know, develop their own technical capability, really, and make their organizations agile and future ready. So I think it's a really exciting challenge out there, and, you know, also to an extent, and on the legal side, obviously, with AI, and the potential impact of data and AI, it makes a lot of sense on that front as well. I think there's going to be, you know, quite a lot of, you know, shifting parts within that industry, and they'll need support with talent for that, basically. So it's I think an exciting time for that market. And again, looking at the US legal firms we work with, they've not necessarily rolled out the technology as early as the US firms, but they're a lot further ahead in kind of an agile approach to things. They've all got CTOs now, well, most of the big ones, etc., whereas the US is still a little bit more traditional. So again, I think the UK's, you know, despite our you know, the overriding view of it as being awful on every count, is actually really quite far ahead in terms of how we're doing things within those sectors. So I think we could help them with the challenges that they've got, basically. So that's really exciting. And then also the other thing is, obviously, as I say, we're trying to compete with consultancies, and we're trying to compete with the Shreks. There's a little bit of the old boys network, and you know, having come from a working class background, it's definitely you know, it's definitely goes against me personally in pitches, and Luke as well. So it's an opportunity for that not to matter, because we just become foreign and English, rather than being, you know, immediately obvious that I'm from a dodgy part of Leicester. So you know, that our kind of one weakness isn't a weakness out there, which is again useful.
Neat. Well, I hope it goes amazingly well.
Yes, exciting times, but yeah, also it's just so big, isn't it? And the thing is, it's kind of almost an element of launching a new business. So you're kind of thinking, right, we want to do everything like perfectly this time, we've learned so much, like, let's go for it. And then it's kind of, oh, actually, what do we want to do differently? quite happy with how things are going. But hopefully that's a good thing, that we've moved so far forward we can't remember how it was.
Yeah, So.
Perfect. Lovely speaking to you, Simon.
You too, Amber. Yeah, I've learned a few things, and yeah, I may trouble you in the future for a conversation about the investment piece, if you're willing. But yeah, no doubt see you at the next event.